Hey guys, I know my other videos, the two parts for you know, how to use these, and I can't even remember if I included some different little key points, so I'm gonna try and do this quick. So for those who are getting them, so I don't have to keep writing everything out, and I am trying to get some papers together so I can send with each one step by step, but I'll try and cover everything in one video without hitting pause accidentally. And it figures I just sealed this up because I want to test this before I send it out. But I guess I can use this little mini one that I made. So when you get this and you get it out of the box, you know, it might still be a little wet from me testing, because I test them before I send them out. But let's just say you wanted to smoke a car, you're not going to be doing it real often, and you know you're only going to use it maybe for a couple minutes. You can take the squeeze bottle and just really soak the wick and soak it good. Put your top on and then smoke. Now, if let's say you plan on using it somewhat, and after a couple minutes, you know, you still haven't found your leak, you know, you don't want to keep running it. You got to keep the wick wet. So, you know, it's very important that you keep that wick wet. Now, if you're going to be using it somewhat very frequently, go ahead and fill the bottom up a little bit, you know, enough to where the wicks are really saturating. Now, this is one of the biggest points I want to make. This is a paint can, it's thin gauge, and you know, the JB Weld, the inside and out. If you want this to last as long as you possibly can, do not smoke for more than 5 minutes at a time. I've been lucky enough, every time I've smoked a vehicle, I find leaks within usually a minute. But do not run these more than 5 minutes at a time. If, let's say, after 4 minutes, 5 minutes, you still haven't found the leak, go ahead and unhook the power. Let the can cool. You know, I like to run, well, here, let me go ahead and kind of show you. So you get it unboxed and all that. When you go to hook up your air, please make sure you support everything. You don't want to stress the epoxy or anything unnecessarily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and set this camera down, and you want to take the hose, put it in there, and then you're going to grab this and support it while you push this in. And I mean, it goes in a decent amount of way, but you'll feel it stop. Just don't go pushing it in without supporting anything. So we have that in. Now I'm going to hook up the air. The air's hooked up, but it's not on. You make sure you soak the wick really, really good. Or if you want, soak the wick still and put some oil in the bottom. You're going to take your power wire and you're going to go ahead and hook it up. Don't worry if you see a little bit of a spark like that right there, because there's not a switch. We're making the circuit live right off the bat. So now, with the wick really soaked, I like to just kind of wait. See, now there's some smoke coming out of the hose, just a little bit. And then you can go ahead and turn your air on. Obviously, the very first time you get it, and you turn the air on right away with just seeing smoke, it might not be as thick as you want. You just kind of got to let it build up a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and give it some air. And there you go. So you're hooking it up to the car. I usually like the brake booster line, and you start filling it up. Now, since I'm going to be sending this out, I don't want to run this any longer than I have to. So let's say you're done using it. You unhook the power and you let it run. At the same time, to really cool it quicker, you can go ahead, pop your lid, so the air is blowing that cool, excuse me. You're unhooked, and there you go. Now it's not a bad idea, before you pop that top, to let that run. If you pop the top, let everything cool. I'm just setting my hand over this. I'm letting that now come out the hose. Just air. And what you're doing is you're getting any possible residue from laying in the hose. So again, and I'm sorry I don't have a stand yet, and I know my videos suck with the thing going everywhere, but this is just good information. So right now we're unhooked from the power. You know, we're letting the hose get cleared out, and you know, you can go ahead and turn off your air. And again, guys, I guess one of the biggest things I want to stress, to make this last, you know, you as long as possible, try not to smoke. I'm not going to say try. Don't smoke for more than 5 minutes. It's a thin gauge, you know. The JB weld, it's less stress on the weld, on the can, on your wick and your wire. So if you can't find anything after a couple of minutes, go ahead and unhook the power. You can still let it run. It's still going to have smoke coming out of it for, you know, maybe a minute or two. And, you know, once everything's really nice and cool, go ahead and, if you have to smoke again, hook up your power and, you know, and go ahead and smoke. Let's say you know, oh, you only got one vehicle, and, you know, it might be a couple months before you have to smoke. You can take your bottle and, you know, like I've had good luck within a minute or two. So sometimes what I'll do is, just to keep all that oil from sitting in there, and do not fill it up to where it starts sitting in the JB weld. That's another important point. Don't fill the oil high enough to where it starts soaking, if you want to fill the can, soaking in the JB weld. Because after a good length of time, it will start to saturate it, and you don't want to do that. So if you do want to fill the can, just put a little bit in there. The wicks, you know, only need to be in a little bit. But what I was trying to say is, you know, if I like to keep my cans dry a lot, so I'll take it, really soak the wicks down. After a couple minutes, or, you know, after keep running it over, then, you know, I'll do something else, come back, and I'll soak that wick 2 or 3 times really good before I smoke a car. You know, with this style, I got the nicer ones that I use too. And, you know, after a couple, you know, maybe 5 minutes, if I haven't found anything, which hasn't happened yet, and let the can cool, I'll pop the top and I'll re-soak the wick again. So I'm just trying to give you the best thing, little tips to make this last a really long time. A couple of other little things. If you notice, the wick is around the wire's around the wick. You could, now I don't want to lie because I haven't tried this yet, I'm just going by why I don't see it wouldn't work. To get even more use out of the wicks, let's say after a long period of time, your wicks, you're just not really putting out the greatest amount of smoke, you can go ahead, and that's a 5.5 millimeter nut. Loosen those up, take your wick out, and you can turn the wick so you have a new surface area, a new wick part, and then put it back in there and try that. So I hope like heck. I should have made a little note card. I didn't even intend to make this video. I was just showing this little mini one that I made, just messing around. And these are a nightmare to work in. Your hands are too big, so don't waste your time making these. Plus, they really don't have no weight to it. So I just wanted to try and put one video And oh, let me walk over to this car real quick so I can show you some things. When you are smoking, guys, and it's best to do some research, you know, on your vehicle, but this is a Cadillac here. The air box and all this is out. You gotta plug, I don't have no light under here, your air filter. One way to keep the smoke from coming out of that is take your air filter, some saran wrap, take your filter out, wrap it up with saran wrap real good, put it back in the box, and seal it back up. And that'll keep the smoke from coming out that way, because it's, you know, you can go in through the brake booster. That's talking for the motor, for the evap. You know, you got to find out if you have a car that the solenoid's supposed to be open or shut. You want to know that, otherwise you think you might find a problem when it's supposed to be vented to atmosphere when it's shut off. So some different cars, you got to do your research. And you know, I don't know, I hope this video helps. I guess a couple of the key points I wanted to do was say, you know, try not to smoke more than 5 minutes at a time. Make sure your wicks are really soaked, and then let the unit run. When you're done, unhook your power, let the unit run. You can either wait till all the smoke comes out of the hose, or go ahead and pop your lid. You can do it with the air run, it's low pressure. Let the can cool quicker that way, get rid of the smoke. And you can even just hold this lid back over the can, and that way you're just airing out your hose. So I hope this helps, and I thank you all, especially for those who have bought them, and I hope you've had good success. And if there's any questions, I'd rather you just email me at customsmoke@yahoo.com, as opposed to posting it. It's just easier for me to answer that way. So have a good night and take care.